exists.
We need to kill all men.
I've seen some of my guy friends literally make 30 grand more than some of my girlfriends, and just because they're men.
But let's say that the pay gap does exist. Why wouldn't firms just hire women?
Energy made this one.
All right, let's watch this one. Because people on the street always have very lovely things to say. Is modern feminism hurting men? Oh yeah, it's gonna be good.
Are men trash?
Oh, cis, heterosexual men, absolutely, especially white men.
What rights do you think that men have that women don't today?
A woman can still walk a street and not feel
All
protected.
right, hold up. We got a banger for you guys. We got a banger. All right, let's just hear that again. I gotta restart that whole video, bro.
Are men trash?
Oh, cis, heterosexual men, absolutely, especially white men.
What rights do you think that men have that women don't today?
A woman can still walk a street and not feel protected versus a man can.
Women are probably like underrepresented.
Like, it started off with great intent, but you have people who abuse the system.
See, you need a man to come in and mansplain it.
Rid of masculine energy.
It's like anti-men.
Today I'm out here and I'm asking, is feminism still relevant in today's society?
Yeah, absolutely. If anything, it's more relevant now than it ever was.
Yeah, I would say feminism's still relevant today. You know, we built this country, men, but women at the same time got to supply more men, right? With no women, the world doesn't go round.
If you look at like domestic abuse, for instance, we know that it happens to people of all genders, but it seems to be like disproportionately like affecting women.
Is feminism still relevant in today's society?
Yeah, I definitely think it is. They put up a lot of bullshit. They pull up with sexual harassment. They put up with a whole lot of bullshit that us men just don't have to deal with.
Of course it's relevant. Throughout history, women have been discriminated against.
It is, but I think it's changed a lot. Feminism started out as women's rights, and now it has skewed into something entirely different than what it was.
Are we going too far? Did we do this and all the rest of that instead of being angry?
Now it's morphed into something that's more preaching like a superiority over men kind of stance. Like I work with some people who would consider themselves heavy feminists, and they are constantly dogging on men, and they openly say, I hate men. I would say that.
Yeah, as soon as anyone's argument or their worldview takes place in hate, immediately scratch it off, to be honest. That's crazy. I think a lot of this feminism stuff is a cry for help from a lot of women because they feel like they're disempowered. So they try to take the man's way of taking power when really there's a way for both women and men to exert power in their own way. But I just think it's funny.
As long as men are alive, feminism is always going to be relevant.
Why?
Because men.
It's like today we're more polarized than ever before. And if men and women can't get along, it can only hurt society.
There are some radical feminists who generally hate men.
They consider us a hate group.
The patriarchy.
But in today's lack of nuance, is it considered sexist to even question the topic? And if I had to be honest with myself, could I do it without my own bias? I guess we gon' see. What rights do men have today that women don't?
Oh, let's go down the list.
A woman can still walk a street and not feel protected versus a man can.
I think we all have equality when it comes to laws.
Men are able to walk out maybe in whatever they want to.
These are not rights. You're not answering the question. It's not the question, baby girl.
Wear or, you know, be able to stand strong through societal pressure.
I feel like women take a lot of precautions just by being a woman themselves, you know.
Statistically, just going into like a corporate setting, if you look at how women are rated on performance review versus men, the language that's used, you know, assertive versus bossy, or kind of the dynamic of how individuals are interacting in the workplace, I do think that there are societal norms that place women at a disadvantage, absolutely.
I think you have to, so for instance, for pregnancy, right? There's no law saying employers can't like fire you if you're pregnant. Or like abortion, for instance, like that's a law that like only affects women, right?
But don't you think that's just kind of explained by like biological differences?
But why does that justify making a law anyway that literally discriminates women?
And so biological differences lead to different treatments and reality. And so I wanted to take a different view on this topic of equality. Do you think today that women have certain privileges that men don't have?
Yeah, part of that goes into being able to say certain things that, you know, men would get scolded for.
They can just talk completely out of their ass freely. You're not allowed to say nothing back.
Do you think, let's say, like, do men have problems that, let's say, that women don't experience? For example, in statistics, like, men have higher rates of suicide suicide, and, you know, obviously men die more when it comes to like wars.
Women can go to war.
Yeah, but how about like,
Women can go to war.
it's true. Who's overwhelmingly going to war and dying in wars?
Men. I'm not gonna argue that.
I mean,
Yeah, bro, they don't give a fuck out here, bro. Just live your life, man. Whatever you doing, don't chase these women, bro.
I feel like the war thing is a little hard to get into just because for the majority men are going to war. It's not really women going to war, so of course more men die.
Why do you think that is?
I feel like that's just because it's kind of like the roles that society portrayed forever ago. Men are warriors and men are the ones that are fighting, and then women are
Do you think more women should go into war then?
Absolutely not. No woman should ever go into any military.
But wouldn't that be going against equality if you're barring women from going in the military then?
Well, I'm not saying barring, but I'm saying like I feel like as a woman you should know that you're not going to be putting yourself in a healthy situation going into the military, because like it's harder to be a woman in the military than it is to be a man.
I think that feminism is also, it's almost an excuse for behavior, flashing your tits or something like that, you know, behaviors like that. Like, but if a guy wanted to pull just his balls out, you know, it would be a little.
All right, I'll explain that one. It's because everybody wants to see some titties. Ain't nobody want to see no balls, bro. Oh, God.
Less socially accepted for sure. So.
And I agree with that.
Yeah.
Do you think in this sense that men have less privilege today than women?
Privilege is all kind of like how you look at it, what you're looking for. I think I'm pretty privileged. A lot of black people probably don't say they're privileged, so that's kind of how I look at it. We need to just stop looking and thinking everybody got greener grass and kind of just accept the fact we're not in a third world country, you know, with Russia invading us or some bullshit, you know?
Yet.
You know what I mean? Like, life ain't that bad. It's 78 and sunny out. Chill the fuck out.
And you're high as shit right now, aren't you?
I'm cooked. Thank you.
Damn, me too. Damn, bro, I'm not gonna lie. He just summed this whole thing up.
Now, I don't know what to exactly make of what I'm about to explain to you next, but it may explain what's happening with society today. An experiment called Universe 25 created a mice paradise with an abundance of food and water. The aim was to study behavior over a time period in an attempt to explain human societies. And it was all good, but after 315 days, something unexpected happened. The population reached 600 and a hierarchy was formed with larger rodents starting to attack and cause male rodents to collapse psychologically.
Under those conditions, social behavior broke down.
This led to a new class of males called beautiful males who only
Alphas. I'm just playing.
Care for food and sleep, and isolated aggressive females who didn't want to reproduce. And eventually, the society collapsed because of the lack of reproduction and lack of care for their young. And the scary part is that after repeating this experiment 25 times, the same results were observed over and over again. A viral Facebook post drew parallels to today's society with weak feminized men with no protection instincts and overly aggressive females with no maternal instincts.
We need to kill all men.
That's crazy, dude. Imagine. Dude, imagine any guy in the world saying something like that. Wow. That's crazy. Oh, that mad though? God damn. Hey, honestly, all I hear when I hear this feminist bullshit, especially like that, they're just crying on the inside. They need somebody to love them, especially a man. Man, dude, it's just a cry for help. It's sad, honestly. Sad, bro.
It's a bit of a stretch, but is it possible that that's what's happening in the West today? Is the negative reaction of feminism coming from the fact that not only are women struggling, but also men? Let's take a closer look and see what this really means. May I ask you, like, what are some like examples of misogyny that you faced?
Oh, let's see. I went through there was one time, I'm a psychology major. We were tasked with counting how many times we got catcalled. I realized every time during that month I went to a gas station at nighttime, I got catcalled.
I've seen some of my guy friends literally make 30 grand more than some of my girlfriends, and just because they're men.
But let's say that the pay gap does exist. Why wouldn't firms just hire women?
That statement alone is crazy. Like, you didn't even go into any type of fucking like empirical data, nothing. You just said they just make more money than my lady friends. Oh my goodness.
They have to find probably quotas at this point.
Do you think there's quotas for men?
No, probably not. There's a lot more men in power in the top 1%. A lot of the women are
Even these women don't understand. They don't even know why the fuck they're saying this shit.
the ones left in the dust.
There's definitely, like, in the top 1%, I think there's definitely more men, for sure. But let's say, like, in the bottom, right? Like, most suicides are men. You know, most people with depression are men. Do we sometimes ignore that to maybe showcase this, maybe have disadvantages in certain situations? But when it comes to the law, they're pretty equal and even opportunities.
Yes, it does have that societal influence more from a social standpoint. It's not necessarily what is placed in the law, but it has everything to do with how people interpret the law for themselves. With women, it's you have to jump through all these barriers in order to even be elected in office.
However, I did hear, though, like, for every male college grad, there's 2 women college grads.
She was doing
and I think
so
I
good.
believe most college students are actually women. So I guess what would you say to that?
I know that women are probably like underrepresented and like.
She said unrepresented. You can't make this shit up.
The military or in trade school, so men might find more interest in doing that instead of like getting a bachelor's. So like that's like a whole career path that like women really aren't being encouraged to do as much.
I mean, I guess, would you say that there's probably different interests in general between the genders?
Now there's like much more of a push to get women into STEM, so there's like more of that. But when I was younger, there wasn't really that going on.
So it does raise the question, does feminism account for the advancements made, or will they have happened regardless? And if so, is feminism more important than ever to preserve progress and also to prevent regression towards inequality?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's answer this. Would the progression in society have still happened? Honestly, I'm gonna say yes. But if we're talking about in a world of equality, where that's what people want, you need feminism, but you need what it originally stood for. When there was actual suffrage and things going on that was holding women back. Today, women are afforded more rights than men. If you look at the paternity court, you look at instances where a male and a female did the exact same crime and the women got a significant less time for it. Male and females both have their own advantages and disadvantages in society. But if we're talking about the term equality, there's certain things that women need to realize that if we want to have true equality, it means the same thing for both sides. So if you're a feminist and you claim that this is your identity, that's fine. But where you're going to run into problems, especially with men, is when we talk about things where it would actually be equal. And most of the times you guys don't want it. So that's why, especially me, I'm very confused at the fact that women will say they're equal, they want equality, but when it comes to certain things, they don't want it. Make it make sense. You can't be strong and independent, but also weak and need somebody. Own one or the other. For the hardcore feminists that stick what they say, okay, respect for you. But once you guys start contradicting yourselves, that's where you lose us men. Damn, man, I really like that video. It's very telling. Because that's what every woman in the world thinks. No, I'm just kidding. You guys already know that how these street interviews go. You get some crazy people, and typically this is what they do for the views. It's entertainment. I enjoy it. But I bet you that there's a lot of people out there that really think this more than you'd think. Thanks for checking in, guys. Phony ENT, we out of here.